Welcome to the I Work For Him podcast. I'm Michael Miracle, producer of the I Work For Him radio program, the voice of the faith and work movement. Our mission is to transform the workplace of every Christian into a mission field. What does that look like in your workplace? Let's find out right now.
You've tuned into I Work For Him, the mouthpiece for the faith and work movement. We're your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg.
Thanks so much for being with us today. We are excited for being able to share with you and really make a difference in your workplace. That is our prayer. So I just want to remind you that we have a YouTube channel you can go to and look for I Work For Him. I work the number 4 him, and stay connected and be able to watch the interviews as they release.
And follow us on YouTube. We'd love to have you follow us on YouTube.
Subscribe is what they do.
That's the word. You follow us on Facebook, subscribe to YouTube, and send your checks to Jim Brangenberg's National Corvette Foundation.
Actually, I Work For Him Ministries works out well.
All right, you can always click on
my word.
You can always click on the Donate Now button on iworkforhim.com. That's iwork4him.com. You know, every year we start off with ridiculous resolutions that never happen. We want to give you a New Year's resolution that will be easy to keep and it will change your work life. Stay tuned for the best New Year's show ever as Martha and I roll out the I Work For Him Nation and the plans for expanding I Work For Him from not one show, but adding 9 new I Work For Him shows in 2021 and introducing the Awaken podcast network and the trilogy that Martha and I have written that will be released in 2021 as well. A jam-packed show in 15 minutes or less. You've tuned into I Work For Him, and we're your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Hang on. Hats off to Mrs. Connie Johnson, my 8th grade English grammar teacher. She taught me how to write sentences so that I could one day write a blog. In fact, every week I write a blog from what my father has laid on my heart. It's always short and to the point, and I hope impactful for you, just like it is impactful for me. We include it in our weekly email that also includes all the shows that we release on podcast that week. So it's kind of like a bonus email, blog and podcast links. Awesome. iworkforhim.com. Click on blog. Perfect. All right, we're back with I Work For Him. We do want to just really, this is not a promotional thing, but we just want to equip you with an amazing opportunity to transform your workplace. One of the things that we have seen over and above everything that we've noticed in the last 8 years as we've been broadcasting is that there's a commonality in what does it take for somebody to transform their workplace and really their workplace mindset. And we call it at I Work For Him, we call it the I Work For Him Nation Pledge.
Yes. So one of the things, and we've talked about this before, but you may have skipped over it or just not been a listener at the time when we've talked about it. But the I Work For Him Nation really came out of, Jim, your journey of commute time and saying, Lord, how can you change me? What can you do with me? And so tell people about what the steps are.
All right, so here's the 5 steps. And we want you to write them down, but we also want, Martha will tell you after I'm done with the 5 steps on how you can get connected to getting these 5 steps printed out for you. So just listen. The number 1 way to change your workplace, here's the 5 steps. Start praying for your coworkers and employees by name each and every day. That would also include your boss, if you've got a boss. Pray for them by name each and every day, and eventually add in their family members or their spouses if they've got one and their kids. But pray for them each and every day. And when I say that, maybe it's each and every work day. Right before you go to work, pray for them on your commute, whether it's down the hallway or whether it's down the highway.
Or before you click join on the Zoom link, right?
Probably, definitely before you click join on the Zoom link. But pray for your coworkers and employees by name each and every day. Then look for ways to serve them. This is number 2. Look for ways to serve them over and above what your job requires you to do. When you go over and above, people start to notice that, hey, Jim's not just the same old everybody else. He's actually does things over and above what he's required to do. So look for ways to serve people over and above what you're required to do. Then look for ways to befriend people outside of the workplace. That's number 3. And we're talking about building real relationships because it's one thing to have workplace relationships. It's another thing to have real relationships that carry forward. There are people I've worked with over the last 35 years that I don't stay in contact with. And there are people that I've worked with over the last 35 years that I'm still friends with today.
You know, Jim, I'm just going to interrupt you there because I just think that, we need to get creative in this on step 3 because right now you may not be able to invite your coworkers to come over to your home for a dinner or a meal or a gathering. So get creative on that one. Find ways that you can, get together to get to know each other so that you can be building that relationship.
And when we're talking about being creative, I mean, it could be things such as, you can invite people to have dinner with you on Zoom. Hey, we're going to have dinner together. Why don't we have dinner together? You cook and we'll cook and I'll cook and we'll all cook, but we'll cook separately together.
Or people have been playing games and things like that too. So there's creative ways, but I just want to encourage
build
people.
Relationship. Plus, in some states across the United States, you can actually go outside, maybe hang out at a park. Sit 6 weeks. We don't call it social distancing anymore. Throw that out. It's spatial distancing.
That's right.
That's what we need to have.
Think about that. We just need to create space, but it doesn't mean we have to be socially distant.
Right. And wearing your mask where it's appropriate. It's sort of effective, but wear your mask. All right. Number 4. Look for ways to pray with people when you notice you're having a rough day. We work with the same people over and over every day. And sometimes some of you listen to this podcast and work with the same people for 30 years.
Amazing.
When they're having a rough day.
Yeah.
When they're having a rough day, say, hey, how you doing? And they say, I'm fine. And you say, really? Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional? There's a credit to the Italian job, by the way. And they say, well, no. I'm not really doing very good. And then you say, well, what's going on? And then listen. And when you're listening, when they're done sharing something from their heart that was obviously impacting how their face looked, say, can I pray with you about that right now? I've never had anybody say no. And the number 5, and it's perhaps the second most important one, is let excellence define you.
Yeah.
Everything about you at work should be defined by the word excellence. And so that people know that you're the number 1 employee by performance in your position, in your job, in your company. Excellence defines who you are. Because if excellence doesn't define who you are and what you do, people aren't going to listen to the other stuff. So pray, serve, befriend, pray with. So you're praying for and praying with, but you're being excellent all along. Martha, how can they get signed up for the I Work for Him Nation Covenant?
So just go to our website, which is iworkforhim.com. And if you've never been there before, you might even get a pop-up that says Join the Nation. But you just look for the tab for Joining the Nation. And when you go there, you will actually get an email that will come to you when you sign up that you can print out and sign and put it in your workplace. Just the other day, I was reminded of somebody that did that, put it up, and then they're not only to remind them every day of praying for their coworkers and doing all of these different steps, but also kind of as a testimony to other people that might come into their cubicle or see their workspace and say, hey, what's that all about? And it has some real accountability with it as well. So it's kind of a neat thing. But iworkforhim.com and Join the Nation.
That's right, right there on the front page. All right, so some other really cool things for you to look for from I Work for Him in 2021. We've been doing the I Work for Him radio program and podcast for 8 years, just almost 8 years, a little over 1,800 shows, a little over 3,000 guests. But one of the things we've realized...
Not that you're counting or anything, Jim.
I'm definitely a counter.
Yes, he is.
So one of the things we've noticed... Are you ready for me to keep going here? One of the things we noticed... we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
If I had my way on every I Work for Him road trip, I'd spend all my time in the passenger seat on Facebook and Instagram. But Jim insists that I drive for at least an hour every day so he can nap. Perhaps you'd like to stay connected with all that Jim and I Work for Him are up to. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest and special events, podcasts, and conversations. Just search for I Work for Him. That's I Work, the number 4, Him.
All right, I was saying one of the things we noticed is that as you're listening to I Work for Him, is that we need to get more specific. There's a lot of people in a lot of different jobs in a lot of different places that could use some really specific information. And we dance all over the place with our interviews. And we've been doing 5 days a week interviews for the last 8 years. So here's what's going to happen. In 2021, Martha and I are going to do one new show a week. That's going to be I Work for Him. We're also going to be releasing one new show called I Retire for Him. And that we're doing alongside the Retirement Reformation out of Colorado Springs. I Retire for Him, the mouthpiece for the Retirement Reformation. Then we're going to be launching, and that's already launched, and you can get that, and we're getting that coordinated on our website. You just click on the I Retire for Him button on iworkforhim.com. Mm-hmm. All right, and then we're going to be launching 8 other podcasts. She Works for Him, for that Christian working woman. And then we're going to be launching I Work for Him Education, So for people that work in these categories, I work for him education, I work for him family, I work for him church, I work for him government, I work for him arts and entertainment, I work for him media, and I work for him business.
Yes.
All of those places, and we're going to dig deep, and we're going to highlight 52 individual jobs within those categories.
That would be weekly.
Weekly. That's going to be a weekly show, and we're going to be raising up some new co-hosts to co-host along with us, that eventually we've got lots of different I Work for Him shows, but they're driven down deep into the kinds of jobs that people hold so that you can hear the stories of your brothers and sisters in Christ that are operating in those positions. So look for those.
So pray with us as we are looking for those co-hosts and those people that will rise up in those different areas of influence so that we can be expanding in that way.
And it's really important that you sign up for our weekly blog and our newsletter so that you could find out when those things actually roll out. And all that can be found on iworkforhim.com. That's him.com.
So one of the things that, so many people know when you go to listen to a podcast on your favorite platform, if you're looking for something without knowing a name or knowing the host or any of that, but you're just looking for an idea or a content category that your podcast platform may not have the selection options, the categories that you might be looking for. And so in the space of talking about faith and work, God has really opened up the door for us to have what's called the Awaken Podcast Network. And this is a place where you can go and find something more relevant in what you're looking for. And so, Jim, tell people about that.
So listen, you can go to awakenpodcastnetwork.com, and we've gathered together all the voices of the faith and work movement, men, women, people from all different cultures, really speaking into what does it look like to live out your faith in your work. So there's 85 voices that we found so far. We know there's more. If you go out there and you don't see your favorite voice, make sure you let us know, and we'll get them added on, he or she added on. We've actually identified 13 podcasts that are specifically designed to encourage Christian working women. We even found one that was designed for encouraging Christian counselors.
And writers. There's a lot of different things out there. So check it out. Look at it on you can go, if you don't remember Awaken Podcast Network, you can find it on our website as well, iworkforhim.com. And there you can actually listen right on there. And Jim, what if they want to make that resource available for people in their organization? Is there an easy way for them to do that?
Oh, well, as a matter of fact, there is, Martha. I'm glad you asked. The Awaken Podcast Network can be added onto any website in America for a small charge on a monthly basis because we've got website fees to set up. But we can actually put the Awaken Podcast Network on your website, and we'll do all the maintenance. All you have to do is it's kind of like adding a semicolon at the end of a sentence and adding it on. That's what we'll end up doing. We'll help you get that set up, and there's a small fee. Just email me, jim@iworkforhim.com, jim@iwork4him.com for more information on how you can attach the Awaken Podcast Network to your favorite nonprofit's website or to your website. Just let us know, and we can get it done.
Yeah.
And it's going to be super easy to get done. All right, Martha, every week we'll be releasing a new show on Fridays.
Yeah.
But we're going to be releasing something else in 2021, and we got to tell people what it is.
We are. So we have been working in collaboration with over 50 people to put together some books.
Not one.
Is there two?
Not two.
But?
A trilogy. I Work for Him has a trilogy coming out in 2021.
But it's not science fiction. This is real life. Right? It's not a science fiction trilogy, which I often think is science fiction books in trilogy. I don't know why that. Maybe that's because that's what you read a lot of. But yes, these are the I Work for Him field manual, the She Works for Him field manual, and the I Retire for Him field manual. And these are practical, tactical, factual, and biblical approaches to helping you live out every day where God has you in your work or your retirement or as a Christian working woman. And so we're very excited about that.
Yes, we are.
As soon as we get a launch date or a print date or a delivery date, whatever that might be, a due date. It's kind of like a
being
birth.
Pregnant.
People told us it's like a birth, but we're birthing triplets.
Well, and there's going to be a printed version.
We do. Birthing triplets,
that's right. Well, you look really good for birthing triplets. It's going to be in print version. It's going to be in digital version. It's going to be in audio version. So anything else? Well, we could do video version.
I don't think so.
They don't do books video?
Think so. We're not going to do a video book.
All right, we're running out of time.
All right. So anyway, be watching for that, and we're excited to see that coming to fruition, and thankful for all of the collaborators that have really come together.
Fantastic.
One of the things that God has shown us is working together with other people just to propel the kingdom. That's what it's all about.
We need to demonstrate to the world that as Christ followers, collaboration is what really works within the kingdom, and we're trying to lead that out in demonstration. You know, Martha, I'm reminded that our key verse for I Work for Him is Romans 12:2, and this is what should define us in 2021. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. And that's what needs to define us as Christ followers in our workplace. No matter what that workplace is, you and I need to stop copying the way the world acts. You've been listening to I Work for Him with your host, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. We're Christ followers, and our workplace, it's our mission field. But ultimately, I work for Him.
Thank you for listening to the I Work for Him podcast with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Please visit iworkforhim.com to learn more about connecting your faith and work, to join the I Work for Him Nation, or subscribe to our weekly blog. You can also follow us on social media at I Work for Him to stay up to date and meet our guests. If today's message spoke to you, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Your review will launch more workplace missionaries across America. That's at I Work for Him and online, iworkforhim.com. I work the number 4him.com.